all praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakaha Kodash. Or in English, what that means is all praise to Yahweh, in the name of his Son, Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Holy Spirit. All right, double honors to my elders, apostles, and the bishops of Great Millstone. This is where I have learned this truth, and this is where I am still learning this truth. And also shalom to the remnant and the elect of Israel. Lord willing, I'm of that number. All right, we're going right back into another video on the same topic where we're reading a prophecy, a warning, all right, of this MOTB, otherwise known as the mark of the beast, otherwise known as the micro C-hip or the RFID C-hip, okay, that we're being warned of, okay? Then we're going to get an article. We're going to get back into the article that we were reading. Speaking of social scoring systems, all right, because this thing is going to be a potential snare and trap to get people to call for this thing to be brought forward, all right? This is going to be a part of their system. Now, if they get this far in order to bring a social scoring system, that's up to the Lord, all right? But what is going to happen is this prophecy, okay? All right. Now, if what I mean by that is they might push this thing forward without even introducing a social scoring system right away, right? That could be in a plan for them to later present it. And the Lord could turn their lights off, all right, before it happens, okay? But this prophecy is definitely coming to pass. We are just pointing out things that they could do to coerce the whole world to receive this thing, or even call on this thing to be forced on people, knowing that this thing is going to be made mandatory. All right, there are ways that they could bring this thing forth, and what they could do is present a social scoring system, okay? So hold on, let me get something to block this phone from it. All right, Lord willing, the phone won't slide off. But so let's go ahead and start with the prophecy, and then we'll go into the article. All right, another section of this article. Revelation 13 and verse 16, it reads, "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name." All right, what we're listening for is convenience. All right, but we know to not trust thine enemy. All right, let's go ahead and get that again. Again, this is the Apocrypha, the King James Version Apocrypha. All right, we're going to what they call in here the book of Ecclesiasticus. We're going to start at verse 10, and we're going to read 16, 17, and 18 also, all right? So Ecclesiasticus chapter 12. All right, verse 10. It reads, "Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness." Verse 16 reads, "An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips." I don't know why I keep turning like that, my bad. "An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first. And though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. He will shake his head and clap his hands and whisper much and change his countenance." And this isn't going to be anything different than how these people are, all right? Speaking of Esau, Edom, all right, or any nation outside of Israel, all right, but mainly Esau, Edom, okay? This man has been the same since the beginning. He's only perfected his craft more and more. All right. Uh, so I thought there was something else I was going to go into, but I can't remember that right now. So let's go ahead and get back into this article. All right. So let's go ahead and oh yeah, let all things be done decently and in order. Right. Let me get that scripture. 1 Corinthians 14 and 40, 144. All right. Let's go here for a second. Excuse me. It says, First Corinthians 14 and 40. Let all things be done decently and in order. Now, I went to that scripture because if you already have a foundation, all right, coming into this video, all right, you should be able to pick up on things, right? But if you find yourself being a little bit confused or lost in what we're talking about, go back to the first video. All right, don't jump in the middle of something and then think that you can understand that. Now, your foundation, I'm speaking to the brotherhood, the foundation of the people that are in the brotherhood, they're going to be okay. All right. But even if so, they might want to go back and listen to what I've said, either to make sure I was correct in the thing, or to get more information about what we're talking about. But for anyone that's new, all right, let all things be done decently and in order. So if you come into the middle of a series, okay, before you give your opinion about it, go back and look at the whole thing. Not that that has happened or anything yet, but hey, people are waxing worse and worse in this day. All right, so I just wanted to go ahead and put that out there. Now let's get to this article. Let's see, we read that part. We read this part. Okay. The last part of this article we read was on vulnerabilities within the system. Again, we're talking about social scoring systems, because this could be a snare and a trap, right? Either something that they've planned to put on this micro C-HIP or something they might try to institute before, all right? But that doesn't change that doesn't change this prophecy coming to pass. Has this social scoring system has no bearing on if the prophecy is going to come to pass or not. This is just a possible snare and trap. All right, and it's good to hear the communication of your enemies. If you are in a war, which we are, let's go to Ephesians 6 and 12. All right. Ephesians 6 and 12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of our power, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. What do you need armor for if you are not in a war, right? If you don't know that you are in a war, especially a spiritual war, all right, which is what we're speaking about, and you probably are lost already in the game, man. All right, it's time to take these things to heart. All right, choose you this day who you serve. All right, so we are in a spiritual war. Okay, so what is one important thing that is important to gain on your enemies? All right, would their communication be an important thing to gain? Yes, it would. All right, so although You can add watching news onto this. It's important to watch this news. Some people think it to be all doom and gloom, but even so, all right, it's important to listen to the chatter of your enemies, all right, because they still have to communicate, all right. They use the same forms of communication that we do, and they ain't all gonna be sitting around on no group chat all day or conference call. All right, they can use these TVs as or radios or phones. All right, these videos to speak in code to get their message across to their compatriots, their confederation. Okay, so it's important to read these articles, go through. All right, see where the snares and traps are that could come upon Israel. All right, because a lot of people are going to think a social credit score or a social scoring system is good, is righteous. All right, all things that happen, all right, are of the Lord willing it to happen, but there are things that are contrary to Him. That there's a contrary path that's happening. All right, to know the difference, you would have to go read and listen, man. You would have to have the Lord give you that gift of faith, all right, so that you can get to the discernment, all right, so that you can recognize the men of the Lord who are guiding you on the right path, the path of light instead of the path of death. All right, so enemy's communication is very important. All right, so this is why we're reading these possible snares and traps. All right, and like I said, these possible snares and traps have no bearing on if the warnings that the Lord told us to give you about these prophecies, these things that are going to come to pass. All right, it has no bearing on if these prophecies are going to come to pass or not. We might not ever see a social scoring system. All right, it's all up to the Lord, man, and what He has these people do. But it is important that we point these things out, that we pick through our enemies' communications. All right, see what they up to. All right, they slip of the tongue all the time, man. Their tongues fall upon themselves. All right, let me get that scripture really quick. All right, this is Psalm 64. All right, let me start at 1. Let me see. I wonder what the NLT says. Hold on. Well, let me read that in the King James first. So hold on a second. Psalm 64 and 1, it says, "To the chief musician, a psalm of David, hear my voice, O God, in my prayer. Preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them?" All right, and the Lord is already bestowing spiritual gifts on us. All right, gifts that make you go in and pay attention to the enemy's communication. Be able to have the gift of foresight. All right, and look at where their spirit is leading them. The Lord has us ahead of these people, man. While they're waiting on technology or for laws to get into place, all right, or technology that they can push this, or their plans to all fall together, or for their cabinet to come together, the Lord is doing this amongst His people. All right, we already know what their end game is. Okay, we're waiting for them. All right, us as the body are waiting. All right, and we can't wait for the day for them to go ahead and push this micro chip, We can't wait for Revelation 13, verse 16 and 17 to come to pass. Hey, let the Lord's will be done. The quicker we get through these prophecies, the quicker the Lord will be here, man. The quicker Yahweh Shai will be here. But we are ahead of these people, man. All right. So again, Psalm 64 and 5, they encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? And we are pointing out possible snares. And we are pointing out the guarantees that the Lord put down here for us to read about. All right, the MOTB being one, World War III, Jacob's trouble. All right, all of these things. All right, we know how 2/3 act. We know how Esau act. We know how these other nations act. They are all outside of the temple or outside of this truth. They don't consider the Lord, but there is coming a day where all these people are going to consider him. They're not going to have any choice because all these things are going to be shown to be faithful and true. All right, the people that they have been making a mockery of are the people of the Lord. All right, we have been telling the truth this whole time. All right, not because of our opinions or our feelings, but because this is the Lord's truth. All right. But the world is going to see later. Like I said, we are ahead of the world, man. Okay. Let's see. Psalm 64 and 6. They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. All right. Psalm 64 and 7. But God shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. Okay? This is what's happening. If you go search out their communications, all right, their tongue falls upon themselves, and damn near every piece of communication that they put out there, because no matter where they go, there they are. The Lord made them to be them, and they can't be anything else but them. Okay? That goes for everyone. All right? We are all subject to the word of the Lord. All right? All of us. All of us have been subject to prophecy. Okay? But not all of us are subject to faith and hope. Only the remnant and the elect, or only the elect at this point. All right? Truly. Okay? That's what it's going to boil down to. Is that right now at this point in time, only the elect have true faith and know what true love is. All right? And repentance. All right? And being holy. And coming out of the world. All right? Walking more in the spirit than in the physical. All right? We know what all this is like. Everybody else is just fronting. They think they know what that means, but they have no clue really. Okay? They use the words like they know what that means, but all these things are just words to them. This is our life as the elect. This is our walk exactly as the elect. All right? You have to know what something is in order to partake in that thing, man. Okay? You can't just use words and then think that makes you a part of it. All right? You can say you have faith in the Lord all day, but what is your walk showing? Okay? So, let me do Psalm 64 and 8 again. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. Psalm 64 and 9 now. And all men shall fear and shall declare the work of Yahweh Baal Shem Yahweh Shai. For they shall wisely consider of his doing. The righteous shall be glad in Yahweh Baal Shem Yahweh Shai, or in Yahweh. All right? And shall trust in him, and all the upright in heart shall glory. Okay? But I wanted to see what this word for fall is. Oh, let me read the verse first again. Psalm 64 and 8. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves, and all that see them shall flee away. As a matter of fact, let me go get another translation first, and then we'll look at that word for fall. So this is the NLT, Psalm 64:8. Their own tongues will ruin them, and all who see them will shake their heads in scorn. All right, NIV, Psalm 64:8. He will turn their own tongues against them and bring them to ruin. All who see them will shake their heads in scorn. Let's try this. Man, why am I doing it that way? Let's go to these. Let's go down here to this tab. It'll show all of them. All right, let me scroll through this really quick. ESV. They are brought to ruin with their own tongues turned against them. All who see them will wag their heads. CSB. They will be made to stumble. Their own tongues work against them. All who see them will shake their heads. And NASB 20. So they will make him stumble. Their own tongue is against them, and all who see them will shake their heads. NET, their slander will bring about their demise. All who see them will shudder. So Lord willing, you get the point hearing that. What we are still talking about is intercepting the enemy's communication. This is why they're going to have to do something about this internet. This was created from the Lord, man, for us to do exactly what we were doing, pushing his word out here. All right, this does the heavy lifting, as Elder Apostle Gabar always says. All right, they're going to have to do something about this thing, which is going to bring in the famine of the hearing of the word. All right, they're going to have to do something to restrict this internet. It's cutting them up. All right, the unicorn is not working to their benefit. All right, let me see. DBY, what is this? Darby translation, it says, by their own tongue they are made to fall over one another. All that see them shall flee away. Let me see. Did I read the AMP already? I must have skipped over it. Let me go back up here and look for it. AMP, so they will be caused to stumble. Their own tongue is against them. All who gaze at them will shake the head in scorn. Okay, let's go ahead and get back to this word fall, since that's what was used in the King James translation. All right, again, Psalm 64:8. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All right, let's see what that word fall is. Here's the word for fall.
Strong's H 3782. Kashal. Kashal.
It says to stumble, stagger, totter. Let me see.
Totter.
It says move in a feeble or unsteady way. All right, like a teeter-totter. All right. It says of a structure, shake or sway as if about to collapse. And they are about to collapse, man. Their whole structure. All right. All right. They're about to be overthrown. Okay. All right. They're tottering just because of the words of the prophets. What do you think is going to happen when the when this earth rocks to and fro like a drunkard? It's going to fall, man, and that's what's going to be happening at that time that the earth rocks to and fro like a drunkard. Okay, so during the reading of our enemy's communication, all right, we're looking for their what do you call that? Their deception with words like convenience or anything similar, right? Any word akin to that word, or peace or safety. All right, these are things that we're looking for. These are tools that they have corrupted the world with throughout time. All right, convenience, peace, safety. Okay. So now, let's go ahead and get to the section of this article that is subheaded, "What would a society with a social ranking look like?" All right, it reads, "The basic idea behind a nationwide social credit system is that everything from people's ability to use public transportation to the future job they can receive is based on a single score. In doing so, the score becomes the entire basis for a person's societal standing. That score also becomes the entire basis of someone's walk, because instead of looking to the Lord, which a lot of people aren't anyway, all right, now they're really going to be looking towards what can they do to uphold their social credit, okay, their social score. All right. All right, they're going to be more worried about their societal standing, and that's what's happening now anyway. People are so worried about their standing in society, all right, being a good person in this world. This world has nothing to do with the world to come. All right, this carnal world has nothing to do with the spiritual. All right, we are supposed to be trying to work in, well, I mean, on a driving standpoint, like the carnal does not drive the spirit; it's the other way around. All right, so if you are steadily living for the carnal, what's going on with the spiritual side of things, man? You are not considering. If you're worried about your place in this world, your societal standing, then your mind is not really where it's supposed to be. Let me see. I didn't even finish the definition of that fall. Let me read one more definition that has to do with that fall. All right, it says to be made to stumble. It says to cause to stumble, bring injury or ruin to, overthrow, and that's what the Lord's going to do. All right, He's already doing it with their tongues. If you know how to intercept their, or if you pay attention to the intercepting of their conversation, of their chatter, okay, and the Lord shows you what to pay attention to. All right, not only are we rightly dividing the word of truth, all right, the Lord has given that as a gift. We are also listening to these people. All right, we know what their true motive is. All right, what was I about to look for though? Oh, okay. The water Yahweh Baal Shem Yahweh Shai. That almost escaped. Okay, so let's go here to all right, this is Matthew 6. This is verses 19 through 21. The point being in 21. It says, "Lay not up yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. All right, let me get that in the NLT really quick. Again, Matthew 6 and 19 through 21, and the subheading up above Matthew 6 and 19 reads, teaching about money and possessions. All right, what is true money? To us elect, it is its truth. Okay, what are the possessions to the elect? All right, we pray to be the ones that inherit the kingdom of heaven. All right, and again, we possess His truth if we are of the elect, because it was given to us from our big brother through the spirit and power of Yahweh. All right. So again, in the NLT, Matthew 6, verses 19 through 21, it reads, don't store up treasures here on earth, where moths eat them and rust destroys them, and where thieves break in and steal. Store your treasures in heaven, where moths and rust cannot destroy, and thieves do not break in and steal. Wherever your treasure is, the desires of your heart will also be. Okay? So we are living in the Spirit, walking in the Spirit to the best of our ability. Okay? So we are not worried about our societal standing. All right? We are worried about storing up our treasures in heaven and doing the things that please the Lord to the best of our ability. All right? We are realizing what a grace period is for. Okay? We aren't trying to do anything that links to this world, man. All right? We're not trying to please ourselves first and then put the Lord on the back burner. All right? We're not saying that we have faith and walking on a path that shows that we don't even know what faith is. We're not doing that. All right, but the rest of the world is. Okay. All right, back to this article. It says the likely outcome then will be a strengthening of social stratification. Now, I'm not even going to pretend like I know what that is. What is social stratification? Let's see what this is. Social stratification refers to a society's categorization of its people into rankings based on factors like wealth. I got wealth first, man. Income, education, and power, creating a hierarchy where some groups have greater status and privileges than others. Here's a more detailed explanation. Let's read some more of this. Definition. Social stratification is a system where society is structured into different layers or groups based on various factors, resulting in unequal distribution of resources, power, and opportunities. All you're doing is going right back into a caste system, man. Y'all want to hold on to this world so bad, you're going to take the microchip, think you're safe, and then after that, you're going to have to jump through hoops to hold on to your status, where you're going to, man, they're going to put you on a lower level than you are now. All right, all you're going to be is a, man, what is that word? I can't think of the word, but a slave on a higher level. All right, a higher level slave, which is a slave anyway. All right. Key factors. It says common factors influencing social stratification include wealth and income. the amount of money and assets a person or group possesses. Education, it says access to and level of formal schooling. This is already going on now, man. This is already going on now. What you need a micro C-hip for? All right, that shows you that this is not about money, man. It's not about making your life better. All right, it's about control. It's about you choosing and them being able to say, well, look, I got most of the world. That causes, we already think we're the most high. Now I got most of the world proving that. They took the badge of servitude. All right? And it's still going to happen, even though the men of the Lord are here telling you plainly what is going on. They are going to succeed in their plan with most people. And it's not going to be a surprise to us, nor the Lord, all right? Okay, but the Lord told us to tell you anyway, whether you hear or forbear. All right, it says occupation. Remember, we're going over key factors, common factors influencing social stratification. Include. All right, now we're going on occupation. It says the type of work people do, which can influence their social standing, race, and ethnicity. It says historical and ongoing societal inequalities based on race and ethnicity. All right, gender, they're hitting on all keys right here, man. All these things y'all like to hear. All right, not knowing that they're using these words against you. All right, they're all here. They hitting on all keys right here. It says gender, differences in power and opportunities based on gender. Family background, social standing can be inherited or influenced by family connections. All right, social standing can be inherited or influenced by family. So if you want to jump through hoops and somebody in your family don't want to jump through hoops, that's going to cause more and more divisions in the family too, right? What y'all don't get is once you take this MOTB, it's a done deal anyway, man. All right, it says examples of stratification systems. It says class systems, caste systems, slavery, and estates. Let's go ahead and go through these. It says, wait, how much is this? All right, there's not that much more. Class system, it says based on wealth, income, education, and occupation, allowing for some social mobility. Caste systems, it says rigidly hierarchical systems where social status is determined at birth and mobility is limited. Slavery, it says a system where people are owned and treated as property. And remember, examples of stratification systems. So who's to say that a social scoring system won't be all of these, especially when the head of this world is Esau Edom. All right, it's going to be all these, man. All right, estates. It says a system of social stratification based on land ownership and feudal relationships. Ain't nothing changed. It's going to be this wicked place on steroids if it ever goes to a social scoring system. All right, this place with the powers that be on steroids. All right. All right, so it says, this is another section. It says consequences of stratification. Social stratification can lead to inequality, social mobility, social conflict. So this is an inequality section. It says unequal access to resources and opportunities and power. You don't think they considered this already? And they're still going to move forward with it. As a matter of fact, that sounds good to them. Unequal access to resources, opportunities, and power, because They are the ones that can make the guidelines for this. They can decide exactly who they want this to favor and not favor. All right. Social mobility. It says the ability or lack thereof to move up or down the social hierarchy. All right. And social conflict. It says tensions and conflicts between different social groups. So what sounds different than what this world already is without a social scoring system? One thing that sounds different is that they will have absolute control. All right. This is about control, not money. All right. Not wealth. I mean, they're going to be gaining more money and wealth to themselves, but it's about control. All right. They're going to be gaining you as riches. All right. They love this slavery part of it. And as an Israelite, you should already know about that, man. All right. This last little part says universal but variable. It says social stratification exists in all societies, but the forms and systems of stratification vary across cultures and historical periods. There won't be any more varying when they push this CHIP. All right, that's going to be a global thing. All right. Since y'all like unity, you think that everyone is forgiven, everyone is loved by the Lord and all that. All right, they feed on that. All right, they're going to take that feeling that you have, that emotion that you have, and they're going to make it one world. All right. And the system won't vary anywhere. All right. That means if you low in this country, if they push a social scoring system and the MOTB, all right, if you are low in this country, you are not only low in this country, but on a global scale. Now you know you're the lowest in the globe, man. Instead of one little area of the earth. All right, so let's go back here to this article. All right, I'll start at the top of this paragraph again. What would a society with a social ranking look like? The basic idea behind a nationwide social credit system is that everything from people's ability to use public transportation to the future job they can receive is based on a single score. In doing so, the score becomes the entire basis for a person's societal standing. Man, I gotta look up another word, man. Hold on.
Basis.
It says, let me go back here and read that part again. In doing so, the score becomes the entire basis for a person's societal standing. So, definition of basis: the underlying support or foundation for an idea, argument, or process. All right. It says the system or principles according to which an activity or process is carried on. And this definition right here: the justification for or reasoning behind something. And this is going to be a lot of people's justification for and reasoning behind for a person's societal standing. It's going to be your reason to want to hold up to whatever it takes to have you have a high social score. All right, so that you can keep your high societal standing. All right, it says the likely outcome then will be a strengthening of social stratification. In fact, the social ranking system will directly affect the three aspects that, according to well-known sociologist Max Weber, form the basis of social stratification, wealth, power, and prestige. All right. It says wealth. It says a person born to parents with a low social rating most likely will not have the opportunity to enter a good paid school or university. As a result, this person has a much smaller chance of receiving a quality education and finding a good paid position, thereby severely restricting future income. On the other hand, a person in good standing will have access to the best jobs, meaning that he or she can always maintain a high rating by donating to charity. All right, under power, it says a citizen with a low rating will potentially not be able to occupy a management position. Now, they're letting you know what it's going to be for you. Do you think that these people in power have a chance of being in a low social scoring system? They already have the wealth, the money, the power to buy in at a higher level, right? That's even if they own the system, man. Anyway, power. It says a citizen with a low rating will potentially not be able to occupy a management position in state or commercial structures. As a result, power continues to stay with those who first built the ranking system and determine the rules for calculating the scores. And that's the position that they are in, man. You are losing even before this thing gets put in place, if it does get put in place. But you are already losing. You've already lost, all right, as an Israelite. All right, so the ones who are looking forward to this, the ones who look up to Esau as a God and believe and hold on to everything this man says, that's your ass already, man. But like we stated earlier, it doesn't matter what we tell you, how many times we tell you, right, or who tells you, you're still going to hold on to this man's coattails. As a matter of fact, Wisdom of Solomon 2, is it verse 50? There is no 50, hold on. 23. I was way off. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2, verses 23 and 24. Why do I keep turning like that? Okay. It says, for God created man to be immortal and made him to be an image of his own eternity. But what happened? Nevertheless, through envy of the devil came death into the world, and they that do hold of his side do find it. That's not going to change, man. For everyone holding on to this man's side, you are going to find death. All right, we are on a path to life. Lord willing, we are of the number of the elect, or as a remnant and elect. All right. What's the difference? The elect are all men that sit on the tabernacle of David. All right, the government. Okay, the remnant can include women, children, all right, who truly believe and have faith. Okay. So let's see. All right, so now we're under the prestige part. It says public censure is one of the main instruments used by the operators of currently existing social scoring systems to maintain control. Information about undesirable citizens, quote unquote, undesirable citizens, located nearby will be posted in the public domain. people who are not considered undesirable, but communicate with such people will most likely receive a decrease in their own rating. As a result, people with low ratings will become outcasts with the opportunity to improve their position. Prestige will stay with those who were either born or purchased their way into the top of the rankings. And we just talked about purchasing your way. All right, so you're already losing from the get-go. Before this thing is even in place, you're already losing. And you're probably losing more and more by the day. All right, you are losing a game that these people are going to play with the social scoring system before it even starts, man. More and more every day. You don't even know that you're playing. None of us do. These people do, though. When we read articles like this, these are your enemies speaking amongst each other, talking about you. So the negative, I'm speaking to Israelites, okay? The negative is speaking about you, all right? The positive is going for them, all right? They are speaking amongst each other. All right, we only got one paragraph left, and then I think we probably have at least one more video on this. All right, so this last paragraph reads, as the years progress, the gap between those with high ratings and those with low ratings will presumably widen, leading to a severely stratified society. Those who start at the bottom will most likely remain trapped there. All right? We've all seen it in a famous episode of Black Mirror, a fictional world where people are fully dependent on their score. Released in 2016, the episode looks like a satirical science fiction story until you realize that practically all examples presented are modeled after real life, all right? Predictive programming, like they say, isn't a real thing. But then, like we spoke in that video, they prove it to be a real thing, and everything they write, man. The enemy's communication, their tongue falling upon themselves. This was a very clear example of this, all right? If the Lord gave you the gift of rightly dividing the word of truth, all right, can you extrapolate what's being said here? All right, let me look up something really quick. You can read between the lines. Let me see. What the hell is going on, man?
extrapolate,
Extrapolate, verb, says extend the application of, in parentheses, it says a method or conclusion, especially one based on statistics. Right? It says to an unknown situation by assuming that existing trends will continue or similar methods will be applicable. All right, another part of this definition for extrapolate, estimate or conclude something by extrapolating. All right. In mathematics, it says extend a graph, curve, or range of values by inferring unknown values from trends in the known data.
infer,
Infer, verb, it says deduce or conclude information from evidence and reasoning rather than from explicit statements. All right, these motherfuckers is, excuse my language, man. These people are, all right. Okay, with a regular mortal, a regular mortal probably heard nothing in that reading. But I know the red flags for the elect, right? The whole article is a red flag. The whole thing is a red flag. The way the world is now is just nothing but a red flag, man. All right, not red being symbolic of something else. All right, that the elect know. All right, but that all this shit is about to be changed. This world is about to be flipped right side up. All right, wait till our big brother return, man. Wait till my big brother returns, right? Like that old saying that we used to say. All right, wait till I tell my big brother. All right, in this case, our big brother already knows what's going on. And he gonna handle y'all accordingly upon his return, man. All right, so that was the end for that section of this article. We at least got one more video. All right, speaking about these things. But before we go, let's get this good news translation of the book of Sirach, which again is the same thing as the book of Ecclesiasticus. All right, so the book of Sirach, chapter 12. We're going to start at verse 10, then we're going to read verse 16, 17, and 18. Okay, so verse 10 reads, "Never trust an enemy. His wickedness is as destructive as rust." Jump down to verse 16. It reads, "He will speak fine words while he plots how to trap you. He will pretend to share your sorrows, but he will kill you if he gets a chance. If trouble comes your way, you will find him waiting, ready to trip you up while he pretends to help you. He will be a different person then, rubbing his hands, nodding his head, and spreading rumors about you." All right? The accuser of the brethren. Anyway, with that, all praise to Yahweh. In the name of his son, Yahweh Shai. In the name of the Holy Spirit, double honors to my elders, apostles, and the bishops of Great Millstone. This is where I have learned this truth, and this is where I am still learning this truth. And also shalom to the remnant and the elect of Israel. Lord willing, I'm of that number. And Lord willing, we'll see you in the next video. Shalom.